Venus, the planet of love, is taking a trip down into the underworld. So what does that mean for where this week's astrology is taking you and I? That's what we're covering this week on Magic Monday. Hi, my name is Comet and welcome to Just the Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of December 4th to December 10th, 2023, where we're discussing, just as we do every single week, here in my Cosmic Corner with the cosmic beverage in hand, what is ahead for your week ahead? What are the astrological influences that you will feel in navigating this week? And furthermore, how you can co-create with the cosmos. We strive to make your weekly horoscope a little magical by sharing how you can take advantage of the cosmic opportunities, how you can navigate the celestial challenges. Astrology for your life, for real life, so that you can live your most magical and your most aligned life. That's why it's called Magic Monday. And it is even more important to flow in synchrony with the cosmos within this week's astrology, and here's why. So Venus, the planet of love, beauty, romance, money, sweetness, is taking a dip into the Scorpionic waters. And let me tell you something about the Scorpionic waters. They go deep. Just last week, Venus was in her domicile of Libra. She was very comfortable there. And now with Venus ingressing into Scorpio, she is shifting into territory that she does not particularly enjoy. I like to think of the shift from Venus in domicile to Venus in detriment, like the difference between taking in a beautiful lake view, like picture seeing the top of a lake and it's all sparkly and you can see the sun kind of dancing on the surface and you see the trees in the distance and it looks so nice and you want to have a picnic and have a nice conversation with someone that you adore. That's Venus in Libra, right? Wanting things to be pretty, and they are pretty to the surface, but Venus in Scorpio asks, no, what's beneath the surface? Compare that to Venus in Scorpio is like getting a submarine to plunge to the bottom of the lake and say, I want to see the freaky creatures that live at the bottom of this lake. Because that's what Scorpio energy is all about, around wanting to explore, wanting to investigate. And maybe not all of us are getting a submarine and going to the bottom of a lake this week. Are there even creatures at the bottom of the lake? I hope so, or else that analogy fell apart. We're not all going to do that this week, but we could feel that deep call to want to investigate into our lover's soul, our crush's soul. We could want to investigate into a financial project. There could be this desire to want to plunge into essentially intensity, what is beneath the surface. Like really with so much of the cosmos now in Scorpio and Sagittarius, there can be this cosmic nudge around really only wanting to be environments that there is that deeper connection into. It could be harder to just enjoy the surface level, enjoy the lake view when you know there's some freaky creatures beneath the surface. It could be harder to just enjoy the surface level conversation with someone who's nice and you guys get along, but there's not a deeper connection when you know deep down there's like some moral differences. Or it could be more challenging to be at a party where it's like, okay, we're all having fun, there's pictures being taken, when you know deep down there's really no substance there for you personally. Like there really is this desire around wanting to investigate, go to the depths of all of our Venusian energy within our life, which is love, which is money. And yes, I will say Scorpio energy sometimes can be a little chaotic, okay? It can be a little paranoid, it could be a little obsessive, certainly, but it is being stabilized by the trine to Saturn that we are experiencing within this week's astrology. So certainly you may want to merge into your lover's soul and wear a vial of their blood around your neck, but you're also going to discuss your guys' 401ks and your guys' goals for the future is the vibe that Venus and Scorpio trine Saturn and Pisces is giving. Again, some of us will feel this romantically, socially, financially, aesthetically even. There is some stabilization around, yes, Venus is not necessarily comfy, swimming into the depths of Scorpio, feeling things more intensely, feeling connections more profoundly, wanting to dive deeper, to contemplate what's beneath the surface, what's really here, what's really important to me. But with the trine to Saturn, Saturn is helping us ground, as well as contemplate where our life is transforming. Because when it comes to this week's astrology, we have a lot of really good energy in store, my loves. I know it starts off with Venus entering her detriment, but there is a lot of energy around looking forward to the future with optimism, building your next steps, as well as observing when you tune into your higher self, hey, what's not in the picture? What is not in the picture? Because we are currently in a waning moon week as we prepare for next week's Sagittarius new moon. And with waning moon weeks, it's the optimal time for shedding and releasing what is no longer serving. And Venus in Scorpio is very supportive of that as well as we continue to evolve, as we continue to transform. And there really is this energy around wanting to feel lighter, wanting to feel freer with so much of the cosmos in Sag. We want to feel free in order to claim the new start of next week's Sagittarius new moon. So with this week's ambitious Mercury in Capricorn trining Jupiter in Taurus, it's setting your goals, but it's also reviewing, hey, what needs to get out of my life for me to have the bandwidth and the space for me to reach these goals? And again, it's not that you have to do anything crazy. Mercury stations retrograde next week. But what I will say is there's this call this week around, now that I'm investigating into the depths, now that I'm seeing the scary lake creatures of my soul, I'm contemplating what's beneath my surface. What have I been ignoring? Neptune stationing direct is snapping us out of our reverie, snapping us out of illusion, snapping us out of fantasy. Now that we have contemplated that, how can we continue to transform with that knowledge? Now that we know that, how can we allow that knowledge to guide us forward? Because I say this quite a bit on Magic Monday, but the same sentence remains around, once you know something, you can't unknow something. Once you get a submarine and go to the bottom of the lake and see some funky lake creatures, you can't swim in that lake without knowing that those are there. And the same goes for your life around, once you have this realization around, ooh, this has outlived its purpose, or this is no longer serving, and this is blocking me from living my most free life, or this was an aspect of myself where I was shrouded in illusion. Once you have that realization, you can still swim in the lake, but you know what lingers underneath. And so the question this week is really around, what is it that we want to do now that we are plunging into the depths? How is it that we want to use that information in order to build our pathway forward? Because this is actually a really great week of astrology. I know it sounds kind of intense. We're plunging into the unknown, into the mysteries of the lake, but we have a lot of really helpful, really lovely energies. I'm excited to chat with you about it. Before we dive in, I just want to see, what are you guys starting the week with? Are you drinking something like mysterious and sultry with the Venus and Scorpio energy, like black coffee with a little like red lipstick stain? Is that how you're starting your day? Or maybe you're in the Mercury and Capricorn trine Jupiter and Taurus vibe and you're drinking something very like healthy that's helping you be productive. I would love to know. I'm personally in my cozy girl vibe. I have my like little fuzzy slippers. I'm in a little hot chai. I'm talking about the cosmos next to this candle. I'm feeling cozy. So I hope you're feeling the cozy energy. I hope it feels like we are just gathered at a cosmic slumber party or at a cosmic coffee shop, just chatting about the cosmos. And since we're just gathered in the Cosmic Cafe talking about the cosmos, I just want to thank you all so much for the warm reception to my new series and my new project, 12 Days of Cosmos. If you missed it, I just want to let you know I'm doing 2024 horoscopes for every single sign. I'm going backwards in order and posting every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until all 12 Days of Cosmos are live. Working on this series has been such a labor of love, so I hope that you can genuinely feel the love that I'm putting into these videos as you receive them and as you listen to them. I just want to thank you all because it's always so scary when you try something new that's outside of your comfort zone. So to try something totally new for me, I've never done like sign-based forecast to a big picture here on my channel. So to try something new and to have such warm, kind feedback, I just want to thank you. I feel very, very grateful and lucky to have the subscribers that I do. So this is my holiday present to you all. I wanted to give as close to a personal reading for 2024 as I could possibly do. So I hope that you enjoy. And I know my fellow business owner, self-employed loves are gonna fill me on this, but I'm like sitting here like, who signed me up to film, edit, and post 4 videos a week? Who did that? Oh, I did. Apparently I did. And again, it's such a labor of love. I'm having fun with it. The videos will get done, but I'm just this in the interim until all these videos are live. And I was so flattered the other day. Someone emailed me and was like, oh, I was just hoping that someone on your team could tell me this. And I was like, team? Am I giving team energy here on Haley Comet Astrology? Do you guys think there's a team here? I was honestly flattered. I'm so flattered that I am radiating team energy, but it is just me. I am the researcher, filmer, editor, marketer, all of the things. And I get really excited about these new things and I don't necessarily consider the logistics until I'm in it. And I'm like, okay, We are cranking out these videos. We are editing, we are filming, but again, it's a labor of love. I love what it is that I do. Just know that this is my vibe. So if you're also in this vibe, I'm there with you. So cheers to that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into our vibe check of the week. So if you are new here, hi, my name is Haley Comet. Welcome to Magic Monday. So in telling you your horoscope every single week, I like to paint a picture, and we essentially compare all of the astrological energies that we are moving into, and we compare it to a real life scenario. So that even if you're foggy on how Neptune Direct will affect you and your universe, you can tune into this hypothetical scenario to begin to fill in what may come up, what dominant emotions and themes may come to the surface within your universe. So again, I'm not saying this exact scenario will unfold. I'm more so saying tune into the vibes, tune into the energy of it, and observe how that similar energetic is reflected within your week. And so this week's astrology feels like the following scenario. We'll say you have just gone through a breakup, and before you click away, before you're like, holy cow, Haley, I don't want to experience a breakup this week. I'm not saying you're going to go through a breakup. I just want you to get in the mindset of having just gone through a breakup of someone that you know was not good for you, and you are kind of in a spell, right? And now that the chaos and the turmoil is over and the spell is lifted, you're starting to like get the ick. You're just like, gosh, that person's feet smell really bad, like all of the time. That was really bizarre. Or like, gosh, why was I making so many excuses for this person? Or like, gosh, look what happened to my life in the time period that I was with this person. Like, the spell is being lifted. The fog is being lifted with Neptune stationing direct. So not all of us are getting the ick necessarily, but there's this energy around really wanting to see things clearly and lift ourselves out of illusion. Oftentimes when you're going through this breakup, the illusion has been shattered. The fog has been lifted and you're starting to see clearly, and you're just like, what the hell happened? What was I doing? What was I doing in this relationship? And I want you to think of that period. It's not the part after the breakup where you're like crying and you're sad and you're grieving. I mean, certainly there can be themes and shades of that with Venus and Scorpio, but I want you to think more so the energetic when you're starting to get excited about the future. You're starting to feel lighter without this person. You're starting to get excited about the goals and ambitions that you're sharpening into focus within your life. You're starting to get excited about your future endeavors. The fog is lifting, so you're realizing, why was I spending time with someone when our future endeavors are so different? Or like, why was I entertaining this relationship when they fundamentally were not what it is that I wanted? Like, there's this energy around, I can see clearly now. I can see clearly now is the vibe. There's a healing vibe with Sun, Trine, Chiron, and certainly, like, you know, if you've gone through a breakup or friendship breakup, or just think of any sort of tumultuous situation where you finally gotten to the side where things are starting to feel lighter, you're starting to feel freer, you're starting to feel more excited. You're not exactly sure what the future will have in store, but you're excited to find out. You're starting to, for the first time since this relationship started, you're starting to see a future that does not involve this person. And while there's shades of grieving this person, you're starting to get excited about where your journey is taking you. And you're awakening to the fact around, yes, it's sad, it's a loss of this person within my life, but fundamentally our lives are growing within different directions. It's such a beautiful energy when you start to awaken to the knowing, like, I could be okay. My life could take me in a new direction. I could be building this new future that doesn't involve this particular person, this bad habit, this friendship, whatever it is. And it's important to highlight, if you've gone through this stage, you know, you've grieved, you've cried, and you're starting to sharpen and focus around the excitement around what could be, what direction your life is evolving into, the things that you can do now, the time that you have. You're seeing it in terms of these energies of opportunity and growth. And it's important to highlight that energy doesn't last forever either, right? There's going to be ups and downs. I've commonly heard of the pink cloud. Have you heard of that? It's basically that euphoria after you first get sober. And again, it's not always going to feel like that. It's not always going to be this like joyous energy around, I'm bettering my life and I'm fine without this person. And the veil of illusion is lifted. Like, there will be hard moments. There will be moments that you're tempted to use. There will be moments that you're tempted to call your ex. Like, life is continually the ups and downs, but it's so refreshing to have a week of astrology where they're starting to be something that we are excited about. We don't know exactly where our journey is taking us. Again, we're in Sagittarius season. We're being asked to be open to figuring it out, taking on this role around going on the quest, but we're starting to get excited about what could be. It doesn't take away the pain entirely around what has left our life, but is not a part of that big picture future vision that we were tuning into with next week's Sagittarius new moon. But the point is that we're starting to see shades of it. We're starting to allow ourselves to contemplate that it would be possible for us to build a future that is expansive and aligned and actualized and exciting. We're starting to believe that things can get better. We're starting to believe that our life can be moving in a new direction. That doesn't mean everything's perfect. That doesn't mean we're gonna have the entire journey all mapped out, but we're excited enough to be looking for opportunity. We're excited enough to believe that our life can be moving in a new direction, a more aligned, real, I want to say that with Neptune stationing direct, direction. So I'm excited to chat about this week's astrology. I just want to make a couple of notes. First being, all times that I mention are PST, as I'm located in California. I do have timestamps available below should you want to jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day. There's also playback speeds where you can essentially manipulate the rate of my speaking to align with how it is that you process information. And if you do gain any value out of this video, I would so appreciate a like, a comment, a share, any little bit of engagement that you feel called to give. I am grateful to receive. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into our Monday, December 4th forecast. Fourth cast. Should we call it our fourth cast? So happy Monday, December 4th. I firstly want to say that Venus, the planet of love, beauty, money, sweetness, enters Scorpio, which, like I said, she does not enjoy being here. Does that mean we should just fast forward to the end of December when she enters Sagittarius and is back in neutral territory? Absolutely not. She has her benefits even when she's swimming in uncomfortable depths that she doesn't like to be in. Like Venus much prefers being in a boat at the top of the lake. She doesn't like being in the submarine at the bottom, okay? She's out of her comfort zone, okay? And with Venus and Scorpio, we're kind of being plunged outside of our comfort zone as well. How you can feel this within your universe. When it comes to your love life with Venus and Scorpio, there can be this focus upon depth, upon secrets, upon intimacy. You might find if you are dating currently, you might find that the topics that you're having on conversations, you're not wanting to just talk about the weather and how the sports teams are doing, like with Venus and Scorpio and Mercury and Capricorn. Honestly, Mercury and Capricorn's like, okay, what's your 10-year plan? And Venus and Scorpio is like, and what is your deepest childhood secret? That's like the topics of conversation at the table. So it can make connections a little bit more intense. Like I said in the intro, you can find that if you are in environments or scenarios where things feel very surface level or very superficial, you could be really craving depth and intimacy. You might be more drawn to kind of like more one-to-one connections, although a lot of the cards most in Sagittarius, so you might be partying and living it up. But certainly with Venus and Scorpio, you might find at the party you're wanting to go to the side with someone that you met and discuss Albert Camus. Like that's the vibe. That's the vibe of Venus and Scorpio. So there's just a little bit more depth as it relates to our social interactions. You might be more inclined to want to kind of dive more into your lovers, your friends, kind of like secrets, what's beneath the surface. And you can also be a bit paranoid. Again, we kind of talked about this with last week's Venus square Pluto, but there can be a little bit of paranoia or obsession kind of coding the cosmos, whether it's in regards to your relationship, around diving deep, trying to read into their psyche, trying to anticipate their needs or their desires or what they're not telling you. Like with the energy of Venus and Scorpio, there is this intensity that we are plunging into. And so financially with Venus and Scorpio, there can be more intense emotions baked into how it is that you're spending money. Like there could be an energy where if you're feeling upset, just feeling like this little trip to the boutique is going to fix it, or buying this. Like with Venus and Scorpio, there can sometimes be this energy around having a very all or nothing approach to money. Sometimes there can be energetics around making a ton of money and then losing it and then making it back. Like a lot of times with Venus and Scorpio, there is an ability to be able to regenerate monies. And also when we talk about Scorpio, like I said, it's about going beneath the surface. And so taking this opportunity to dig beneath the surface when it comes to all Venusian arenas around value, what it is that you value out of this experience, around love, who it is that you love, what it is that you really want in love, any psychological patterns that you may have in love, as well as money with Venus in Scorpio, contemplating the psychology that you may have around money, like with Venus in Scorpio, really checking in if you feel like an emotional urge around, I'm sad, I want to spend money, I want to buy something, I don't want to deal with this emotion. Like Venus in Scorpio, especially with it trining Saturn, asks you to take that moment to kind of contemplate, okay, what's beneath the surface? Is this a rational way of like coping with what is happening currently? Is this a wise usage of my resources, or am I just delaying this uncomfortable emotion to feel it in 2 hours time? Because again, when it comes to money, you need to decide what it is that you value. And that looks different for everyone. Like some people might find it's very frivolous to spend a lot of money on coffee. And for some people, that's their treat. It gets them outside, they go for a walk, they smell the coffee. That is something that is valuable to them. Thus, their budget reflects it. Some people might find that makeup is a waste of time, or some people could find that they have no interest in going out. For other people, they love that. It's a highlight of their week. Like with Venus in Scorpio, it also asks deep down, what is it that I value? And like I said, with the waning moon week, what is it that I don't value? Why am I saying yes to going out all the time if I'm not having fun when I'm here? Why am I feeling like I have to compete and buy all these designer clothes or what have you when it's not something that I personally care about? Or maybe it's on the other side where it's like, why am I allowing this person to tell me that I shouldn't spend my money on coffee or what have you when it's a small bit of joy within my day? I think with Venus in Scorpio, it's asking you to get down to what it is that you value and to begin to contemplate, what is it that I don't value? Like, why am I spending so much money on this? Like, this really isn't something that brings any joy or value within my life. And I would love to know, if you feel comfortable sharing, what's like your splurge, or like what's something that you like to spend money on? Like it just brings a little bit of happiness within your day, within your week, within your month. I would love to know. Comment below. What's your splurge? Is it coffee? Is it makeup? Is it concert tickets? What is it that you protect? Like you'll sacrifice other arenas of life in order to prioritize this. Like I don't need streaming services, I just need a shoe budget, or whatever it is. I would love to know. Venus in Scorpio asks you to get to the root of that. And again, it's important to highlight, I'll talk more about it tomorrow, but with Venus in Scorpio trining Saturn, beginning to get to the root around, okay, what are the scary creatures beneath the lake, right? What is it that I truly value? That helps you build your future, because you can begin to tune into, why am I spending so much money at the club when I could be spending money on this business that I'm building for the future? Or around, let me protect this guilty pleasure of mine of going to grab a $6 latte every day because it's something that makes me happy, but let me cut back on the things that aren't making me happy in order to build and strategize my income in a more time-honored way. Like with Venus trine Saturn, we are being asked to think long-term. Yes, with Venus answering to a Mars sign, sometimes we could be a little bit more impulsive or reactive around feeling an uncomfortable emotion, wanting to spend money. And I think with Venus in Scorpio, it's asking you to get to the root of your psyche around, what is it that I'm truly wanting right now? Because oftentimes that swipe of a credit card or buying something, it only takes away that uncomfortable emotion for a little bit of time. But if it's not truly your thing, if it's not your priority, if makeup does not light you up, it's a creative expression, it's something that you like to do, like that makeup purchase, the high of it will fade in 2 hours. If you don't even like coffee, but you just go get a $6 latte because you don't want to learn how to make it at home, like that essentially quick purchase, it'll fade. Like things fade. With Venus in Scorpio, it's really around, what is it that I want to feel and how can I invest my finances accordingly? As yes, a reflection of the future that I'm wanting to build with Venus trining Saturn, but also what's important to me? What's important to me? What's beneath my surface of this lake? Like what is it that I really do value within my, day? And I also want to say on December 4th, we have the last quarter moon, which is a check-in point from last week's Gemini full moon and next week's Sagittarius new moon. And I just want to check in, wellness check. How was that Gemini full moon for you? How was that Gemini full moon for you? For me, it was incredibly chaotic, incredibly noisy, incredibly emotional. It was a lot. So I just want to check in. How is it going for you? I truly still feel like I'm recovering. So for anyone else who kind of had a more intense Gemini full moon, I'm just letting you know there could be some aftershocks on Monday, whether it's of the emotions or also sharpening into focus what it is that you're feeling called to release. Like I said, with Venus and Scorpio, it's like, what is it that I value? And it's like, don't let people make you feel silly for the things that you value. It's a tough time. This reality is harsh. If there are things within your life that just give you access to a very pure joy, protect them. If that's makeup for you, if that's lattes for you, whatever it is, it's about getting to the core and cutting out the excess, cutting out the superficial, cutting out what is not a reflection of your values. And with the last quarter moon, that might be financially, but it can also be in terms of connections. With the energy of last quarter moon, it's about clearing the clutter, because the moon is in Virgo, right? It's clearing the clutter. Next week is the Sagittarius new moon, which is about the big picture. And today's last quarter moon is around what's not in that big picture. If I tap into my future self living their best life, and I look at how it is that they spend their day to day, the more I see that person, the more I realize, hey, they're not carrying a designer bag. They're not going out with their friends every single night. They're not getting to the club. Like, that's not within my big picture. So let me clear the clutter. Why am I spending money on this? Why am I spending energy on this? Let me get closer to that version of myself and build a life around what means something to me. Okay, that's the energy of the last quarter moon. And with the Gemini full moon, messages could have came out. I'm hoping that someone out there had a good Gemini full moon, that it was like an energy around feeling curious and inspired and excited for what's next. That is not how the cookie crumbled for me, but I'm happy for you. But I want to let you know, with the last quarter moon, especially in Virgo, it can be this energy around taking the insights or the criticism or the feedback or the conversations that came up last week, and with the last quarter moon in Virgo, maybe dialing in the details around, okay, this message came up, how are we going to integrate this constructive criticism? Or this new idea came up with the last quarter moon in Virgo, how am I going to clear space within my schedule to prioritize this new project or whatever else? I just want you to tune into what came up during that Gemini full moon, and during the last quarter moon, you may start to feel stirrings around what you're kind of ready to release, what's cluttering your mind, what's cluttering your energy. For a lot of us, that Gemini full moon was very chaotic. It was very noisy. And the last quarter moon in Virgo, it's like cleanup time, right? Clean up, clean up. Like, it's that energy. Why are things so chaotic and noisy? Are there certain activities in my life that I could streamline? Are there certain responsibilities that are no longer a fit? Are there certain things that I feel like I'm doing because I have to? Again, that could be sharpening into focus Monday night with that last quarter moon. But the last quarter moon can have this energy around feeling a little bit frantic, feeling a little bit all over the place. And again, continue to feel anchored by that idea around clearing the clutter, right? Streamlining and focusing, because the Virgo moon could be feeling more stressed and neurotic and dialed into all of the details and taking on all the tasks needlessly. And we could just be feeling this more chaotic or stressed energy in Monday. Again, breathe, ask yourself, how can I make this simpler? How can I streamline? How can I focus? Because it's important to highlight that the moon is in Virgo, answering to Mercury, who is stationing retrograde next week. So it's not the time to rush. It's not the time to go fast. It's not the time to agree to doing everything and anything for anyone who asks you, right? It's time to go slow. It's a time to complete the incomplete. It's a time to be focused upon the details. It's a time to have trust around everything will get done in the timing that it is meant to. It is a time not to rush yourself. It is a time to refine and improve the details. And oftentimes with the Virgo moon, especially involved in the last quarter moon, there could be a stress or a pressure on gotta do it all and gotta do it all perfectly. When you feel that come up, breathe, center yourself. It can be a very productive day, but I do see there's something building around pressure on you, whether it's a coworker, like you need to turn that in, that was meant to be done the day prior, or maybe just emails are coming in. And again, one thing at a time. Compartmentalizing is helpful on Monday around, okay, I'm doing this, and after I do this, I will handle this. You know, the Sagittarius sun, sometimes you gotta like pull your focus back and be like, this is what it is that we are working on. As soon as this project is done, we'll handle the next. Like, organization is going to be helpful, especially in kind of managing some potential stress that could come to the surface on Monday. But like I said, very productive day. The Virgo moon will trine Mercury in Capricorn, its ruler, at 2:12. So very early in the morning. You could feel that late Sunday as well. This more focused, streamlined energy. Then the Virgo moon trines Jupiter in Taurus at 9:33, which is productive, hardworking, but not in like a gritted teeth sort of way, like gotta do this. It's just calmly showing up for this task, giving it your all, and trusting that the next task and the next task will unfold as they are meant to. Keeping attention to detail high, keeping your standards high in terms of what it is that you're working on and what it is that you're creating. And again, not allowing yourself to get too caught up within the future around, oh, but as soon as I do this project, then I have to do this, and holiday presents, like one thing at a time is super important to dial into on Monday. As soon as you feel yourself kind of like panic, or the Sagittarius sun is like, what about this? And we got to take on this. And the Virgo moon wants to do everything perfectly, pulling your attention back around, I'm going to do this task to the best of my ability. And when the next task arrives, I'll be present with that and do it to the best of my ability, and just continuing on within that pace. And keeping the standards of what it is that you expect from yourself high. Like this is an Earth grand trine within the cosmos. So it's productive, it's earthy, it's hardworking. It feels good to nourish your project to be the best that it can possibly be. So I just feel like with the Virgo moon, Mercury and Capricorn, try not to get too laser focused around perfectionism, but do strive to find value in what it is that you're doing, and allow that to be an anchor with the rest of the chaotic astrology that's kind of building on Monday around, I'm just doing this task to the best of my ability. I will handle the chaos in a moment. So on Tuesday, December 5th, we have Venus in Scorpio trine Saturn in Pisces, which is a quite stabilizing influence, because as I was discussing yesterday, Venus in Scorpio runs very hot or cold. In love, they're either obsessed with you, want to live in your skin, want to merge and become one, want to share the same grave plot, or not that interested, getting the ick. Like there is no in between. And with Venus in Scorpio, this can also bleed into finances as well. Either buying everything in the store, spending like there's no tomorrow, or being so anxious and nervous, not wanting to spend any money at all. Like there can just be extremes that we are experiencing. But with the trine to Saturn, it's giving that energy a little bit of grounding. And with Venus in Scorpio trining Saturn in Pisces, it asks us, how is the Venus energy alive within our universe? How is it fit to stand the test of time? So it is asking, within your current relationship, within your current connection, even within the people that you are dating or talking to or getting to know, could they potentially stand the test of time? Again, I'm not saying on the first date you need to ask people their 20-year plan, although maybe with Mercury and Capricorn you might be more apt to do so. But if they're just like fundamental pieces, reasons why this would not work out. Like fundamentally, you guys see the future differently. Fundamentally, there are its core moral differences that you guys will not see eye to eye, or different desires that you want for your life. With Venus and Scorpio, it's about honoring that truth, right? It's not always pleasant to have to go to the bottom of the lagoon or the lake and contemplate the creatures, right? I want kids and you don't, or you want to live in the countryside and I want this city girl lifestyle. Like it's not always easy to contemplate those underlying truths, but with the trine to Saturn, it is helping you build the future that's there waiting for you. Because the thing is, sometimes when we kind of like squint our eye and kind of just ignore certain details, we can project the future that we want on this person around, oh, they'll come around. They'll want to join me in my city girl lifestyle. They'll change their mind on kids. And with the energy of Venus trine Saturn, it's just honoring, like, does this connection stand the test of time? And I want to say this because I feel like there's one person who needs to hear this out there, and also just with Venus answering to a Mars ruled sign, Mercury and Capricorn, it's important, especially if you are somebody who is competitive or you're a go-getter, you like to get what it is that you want. It's important to remind yourself that love is not a game to be won. Or I should say, with Venus and Scorpio, love is not a game that needs to be mastermind, right? Because sometimes there can be this energy around getting obsessed with someone and being like, I'm going to make you mine, right? Maybe you get them, maybe you don't. But there can be an energy around, I've got to make this work. Like this is my prize. This is who it is that I want to be with. It's important to remember sometimes what it is that you want, like genuinely want, is not here. And you can like kind of squint your eye and just kind of like project onto this person and ignore what they're telling you and tune them out when they say certain things. And you can almost like mold them to fit what it is that you want. But sometimes what it is that you want is not there. And if you're in that very competitive mindset around, no, but this is my person, I'm gonna make this work, even if we have these fundamental lifestyle differences, even if we see different things for our future, even if we have different moral obligations, this is the person who I see myself going this test of time with. It's just important to honor. Your life is calling upon you to transform and evolve in certain directions towards a future that's there waiting for you. And so if you've been like a little bit in like, la 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 la, I don't want to address these core lifestyle differences that we have, like Venus trine Saturn, it's not that everyone will be breaking up, but it can be the energy around contemplating, our futures are taking us in different directions. And sometimes, Scorpio is a fixed sign, so it goes very deep, right? It's very loyal. It's very dead set about the people that they're about. And sometimes there could be an energy around investing your all, trying to make something work that just doesn't stand the test of time. Because again, you can love someone, you can be so passionate about someone, you can have so much desire about someone, you can have someone who fits so perfect into what you project for your future. But it's important to remember every so often what it is that you want. You can't always find that here. And it's important to go off what people show you and reveal to you within physical reality beyond just the projections that you put onto them. We'll talk about that more so with Neptune stationing direct. And so with Venus trine Saturn, if you're not in a connection, it can be this energy around what is it that I want? Like genuinely, what is it that I want? What is the future that I want to build? What is the direction I want my life to evolve and transform into? That clarity can be something that is very important. And with Venus trine Saturn, some of you, not all, can be strategizing ways that you want to make your finances work for you. And I do mean work for you. If you are observing these very intense emotions around finances, I just want to let you know this could be a potential good week to gain a lot of clarity around finances. And even for Venus trine Saturn, allowing yourself to put your money towards places where it can multiply and build upon itself. Like, not financial advice, but let's say you've been like, I want to, open a Roth IRA. I want to start getting into investment, or I want to invest within this business or something of that nature. Something where you can multiply your time and energy and allow your money to work on your behalf. Because especially if you're a business owner, I just want to plant this seed for anyone who is open to hear it. It's super important that you do create offerings or at least tentacles within your business that are not fundamentally tied to your time, because you have a very finite amount of time. And with Venus and Scorpio trining Saturn, it's like, hey, I have a finite amount of time. I have a finite amount of money. How can I leverage the resources, whatever resources I have, whether it's time, money, creativity, whatever it is, how can I leverage it intelligently, and honestly with the energy in Scorpio, strategically, so that it can grow and stand the test of time with the harmonious trine to Saturn. So it's thinking strategically around that, whether that is an investment, whether that is an energy like we talked about last week, getting to the core around what it is that you value and building your budget around that, like being able to cut through the clutter around, if I were to take the money that I spend going to happy hour with my coworkers who I actually kind of don't stand, if I were to put that money towards this new business that I want to open, that has the potentiality to continue to snowball and continue to grow. Even if it's just small actions that help you build that snowball towards growing the finances that you want, those little actions do make a difference. Like, it's all about compound interest. That's what I'm feeling into with Venus and Scorpio trining Saturn and Pisces. If you are contemplating spending your money on something that is not a need, right? It is not a need. And like we talked about yesterday, maybe it's not a value. It's like, I don't really value this. A helpful tool is like looking up a compound interest calculator and typing in how much it would be if you were to spend that $60 on the boots today versus if you were to invest it, how much it would grow in 32 years, how much it multiplies upon itself and the dividends. Sometimes just seeing that number, like, wow, it's either boots now or a freaking car. If I were to wait 40 years and just invest it, sometimes that can sharpen into focus around what is truly going to add to your quality of life versus, I would rather take, the car in 40 years, what have you. Like I said, Venus and Scorpio can be a very obsessive energy, and I'm a very obsessive person. I know a lot of you know that. I know a lot of you are as well. That's why we're all gathered here in the Cosmic Corner, nerding out about astrology. But one of my hyperfixations was personal finance. That was a very helpful hyperfixation. Most of them were like pop stars, random authors, what have you. Doesn't really add a lot of good to my life, but this one was actually very helpful. And like when I say I get into something, I get into something. Like I'm reading about it, listening about it, talking about it. Like I just get fully into that world. And there is a creator who I used to listen to when I was in my personal finance hyperfixation era, Graham Stephan. I don't know if any of you have listened to him, but he taught me the compound interest calculator trick, and that really helped me at that time to just kind of get my finances in order. But he used to have this show, I don't know if he still does, I'm out of my personal finance hyperfixation, but where you could like call in and get advice on like your financial situation, and I was on the show. And that was a humbling experience, because you can imagine the finance side of YouTube and the astrology side of YouTube are very different. I actually ended up giving him an astrology reading. Like, he just put me on the spot and was like, would you give me an astrology reading? On the spot, I gave him one on his show. But anyways, I got like ripped up in the comments of people just being like, she is bonkers, she is, out to lunch or whatever they were saying. Anyways, I share that to say, if there has been even just the smallest desire around, I want to get clear on my spending, around I want to cut out these particular habits that are not adding to my quality of life. I want to start investing. I want to invest within my own business. I want to save for an asset that will appreciate. It does add up, even small efforts. And if you're somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of like risk tolerance, you don't want to like get into investing or anything of that nature. Again, this is not financial advice. You came for astrology, not finances. But I do want to say, because of how high interest rates are currently, you can actually get a really good rate of return on a high yield savings account. So also, if you've been contemplating wanting to put your savings somewhere where it can grow, that's a very safe way to do so. Again, it's liquid. You can always have access to it if something goes down. The only difference is that it actually pays you out a rate of return, which again allows you to begin to build some reoccurring income or resources. So it's small shifts, okay? I'm not saying everybody's going to become a millionaire overnight this week, but I am saying there is this energy around sharpening into focus around, what do I want my future to look like? How can I leverage the resources that I have at my disposal in order to build towards that future? And love could play a part in that, around what is the future that I see, and does my current connection sharpen into that? And again, like within the vibe check, it's like that veil of illusion is lifted, where it's like, how did I think that would possibly work? Like, it was romantic, it was dreamy, but like logically, how are you going to live your best countryside life while I'm living my best city life? Like, it just doesn't add up. And if you are in a relationship with Venus and Scorpio trine Saturn, get excited about the future that you guys are building together, right? Get clear in your desires. Get clear on the desires that you have for the two of you as a couple. Like, get excited about the future that the two of you are building, the long-term dreams and ambitions that you guys are creating. So from a lunar perspective, I do want to let you know that last quarter moon exacted at 9:49 p.m. the night prior. So for a lot of you located elsewhere in the world, you could absolutely be feeling the reverberations early on Tuesday. And again, that's that energy around something's got to go, or something's got to change, or something feels chaotic that I've got to streamline, or I don't feel free within my current experience. But I will say the moon will continue to transit Virgo throughout the day, trining Uranus, so could be helpful for novel solutions to old problems. We enter Mercury retrograde next week, so this is a really optimal week when it comes to refining old projects, dialing in the details, completing the incomplete before adding new to your schedule, complete out the old. Again, a lot of the focus when we're in a waning mood week is around release, shedding, tying up. And so with the energy of Virgo moon trining Uranus, if there's like a project that you kind of half started, or there's edits that you want to make, it's all around how it is that we can essentially get to our ambitions, right? Move forward by streamlining, refining, and dialing in what is existing at this moment. And you might be a little in Delulu land, let me say that, because the following day is when Neptune stations. We feel planets strong when they station, okay? And so there can be this Neptunian energy baked in, and adding to that, the Virgo moon opposes Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune in Pisces can be very dreamy, but it can also not be very, very grounded. And with the energy of Virgo moon, we can be essentially visualizing our worst fears or our worries. This happens at 10:17 p.m. So if you're like me and you stay up late worrying about things, like that's what Tuesday's astrology is giving. It's so strange how different things look at night. I'll like freak myself out in the middle of the night, just like convinced that there's this huge problem. Then I wake up and things look so different in the morning. Again, when we talk about Neptune, it can be very dreamy and romantic, but it can also be, with the opposition to Virgo, giving shape and nuance to our worst fears and worries underneath the surface. What I would say is this would be a great time to do something productive, certainly with Virgo moon. Sometimes we can feel more calmed by handling the small details of life, but also something that taps us into our own world. So like listening to a podcast while you are cleaning, or like organizing your closet while you're daydreaming. Like there's this energy around kind of merging the magical with the mundane. And even though they're not directly related, as Saturn and Neptune are too far in Pisces to conjoin, I just want to share, allow yourself to essentially dream about what could be. I think this is an important week, especially with so much of the cosmos in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the archer with the arrow pointed at the future, like really getting clear around what it is that you want, because a lot of times that can really guide a lot of your decision making. Like if there's a new opportunity that lands on your desk, or there's a new position that's open, like it's so important to regularly return to the big picture to really see, is this a fit for me? I know the lake creatures that exist underneath my depths, and I'm so sorry, this analogy is so weird. But I know it exists within my soul. I know it's valuable to me. And when you know that, it's so helpful in making the right decisions for you, because there will be so many shiny objects within this world, and you might feel tempted with them, especially with, Mercury getting ready to station retrograde soon in its detriment of Sagittarius. Like there's a lot of shiny objects in this world, and a lot of people will try to sell you a lot of dreams, and they'll slide in promising this, that, or the other, or they'll have these very enticing offers, or they'll tell you you can make this much, or this is how your life is going to change. But when you have that deep knowledge around what it is that you want, you're unshakable in a way, because you're less able to be essentially persuaded, because we have this one life, we have this set amount of time that we have to expend towards it. You need to build one that actually has meaning for you. That's the whole aim. And sometimes things that glitter aren't necessarily gold. So getting clear on what's beneath the depths of what you want, and allowing yourself to cut through the noise, cut the clutter around what doesn't fit into that picture. So on Wednesday, December 6th, I want to say for Wednesday, but really this entire week, pay special attention to your dreams. Yes, those dreams of the future that I was sharing with you earlier, but also your literal dreams. Okay, oftentimes Neptune guidance and divination comes to us in a dream form. So just being open, as well as what your intuition is telling you. But early in the morning on Wednesday is when Neptune stations direct. So when an outer planet shifts from retrograde to direct, we do feel it hanging in the air quite a bit. So that ick I was talking about within the vibe check, or that moment of clarity, or like the spell has been lifted. I can see clearly now. I can see clearly now that I'm starting to dial into my future, and it does not in any way involve you. It just doesn't. Love you, cool experience dating you. It just doesn't fit into the picture. Like you might not have that ultimate amount of clarity in the actual days of Neptune direct. But what I want to say is that ultimately Neptune is now shifting from inward to external. It's now shifting from a more passive to a more active energy. And with it shaking and reverberating within the cosmos, there can be certain illuminations around where you have either been living in illusion, not seeing something clearly, having rose-colored glasses, things of that nature. There's like a spell that's being lifted. Oftentimes we do keep ourselves in illusion, and it's an important time for clarity. And I'm a Pisces delivering this to you, which is a sign that's very, very predisposed to illusion, okay? And that's why they're so imaginative, that's why they're so dreamy. But it is important to get real with yourself every so often, and it's not always pleasant. It's not always pleasant to get real with yourself. It's not always pleasant to have to get real with someone that you are dating, and just realizing our futures are taking us into different directions. And that could be romantic, it could be within friends, it could be within jobs. It's uncomfortable to have to look things clearly. It's much easier to keep ourselves suspended in a dream. It's much easier to keep ourselves in a relationship, even when there's these core differences in terms of how it is that you guys want to live your life through this lens around, we'll handle that when we get there. Or it's easy to keep yourself suspended in illusion around, okay, they'll change. Or keep yourself suspended in illusion around, this bad habit isn't so bad. Like with Neptune shifting directions, there can be this reverberation within your life around really wanting to get out of illusion, really wanting to see clearly. And the stories that are coming out at this moment, they're going to continue to be reviewed. I know I keep highlighting it, but Mercury stations retrograde next week. So I don't want you to feel like you have to be the other side of this energy. I just want you to observe the awakening. If there are certain like intuitive downloads that you're like, ooh, this job is not it actually, and I've just been trying to trick myself into telling myself that it's a fit for me when I know deep down it's not. Or, ooh, okay, this relationship, I've been trying to trick myself into, squinting my eye and just kind of like looking at them sideways and not listening when they say certain things to try to like see them as someone I could spend the rest of my life with. But now I'm like realizing I'm seeing clear, because we had a Saturn transit the day prior, and Saturn is about time. So it's like both an acknowledgement around, hey, time is going by. It's also this acknowledgement around this time is sacred. Like, Venus and Scorpio can sometimes bring some morbid themes around when it's time for me to pass away. I'm the one who needs to wrap up this journey. So I need to make sure that I am essentially spending my time with people that are in alignment with how it is that I want to spend my time. I want to make sure that my finances are being bucketed towards what genuinely adds to my quality of life and cutting through the noise of what doesn't. Like, there is just this reverberation around wanting to see clearly. But what's interesting about Neptune energy is that sometimes there can be this like kind of shock wave of like around something that we have not been seeing clearly. And sometimes with Neptune energy, we can want to escape from it, right? We can want to numb it or avoid it or what have you. And I would just say Wednesday is an important day to just be open to clarity, be open for people to show you who they are, be open to see things clearly. And I do want to say, with the energy of Neptune, you could be feeling more sensitive, certainly. So I'm not saying it needs to be this depressing like realization around, oh my gosh, there's this huge thing in my life that needs to be changed. There's just this energy around, where have I been giving people too many benefits of the doubt? Where have I been trying to see someone in rose-colored glasses, just like convincing myself and deluding myself like they'll change or one day it'll be different without really putting in any effort towards it? Where am I numbing myself or running from the uncomfortable emotions that I don't want to feel? Those can all be alive within your experience. And like we were talking about last week, it's an important week for discernment and for seeing things clearly. Again, your intuition can only try to get your attention so many times, right? Whispers turn to screams from the universe if we're not paying attention. So sometimes Neptune energy can get a message to us. A lot of my planets are very closely gathered together. So when I have an outer planet transit, it hits all of them like one after the other. And so there's like a 3-year period that all it was Neptune. I was getting Neptune transiting like my personal placements and angles, and understandably it was a very foggy, confusing, interesting time of my life. Certainly, it was definitely very spiritual. It was very inspired, but it was also so disillusioning. And it was so interesting because I just remember this one random Tuesday, I was driving my car and I just remember just being snapped into awareness. And it was like that Neptune fog and spell that had been cast over me just all of a sudden lifted. And I was looking at my life with so much clarity. I just feel like I navigated through those 3 years utterly in a haze, and I was not seeing things that were literally right in front of me. I was projecting things that were not there, making situations to be something that they were not. And when I snapped back into clarity, I looked at those 3 years and I was like, what was that? It was literally like a spell had been lifted. Like I was coming out of my sleep. I'd been sleepwalking for 3 years. And so this aspect occurs at 5:20 a.m. So pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to your emotions and what they're trying to signal towards you. You may be feeling more emotional. Sometimes that could be Neptune energy. Some of you could just be feeling more sleepy. Honestly, can be the vibe. But knowing that this story is just starting, right? Neptune stationing direct. Outer planets are retrograde more out of the year than they are direct. Like, it's not the biggest deal, but we do feel planets when they switch directions. So just observing where it is that you are striving for clarity and really honoring the wisdom from essentially your spiritual support team, particularly in the Pisces arena of your chart. And so the closing aspect of the Virgo moon is the Virgo moon will trine Pluto in Capricorn at 5:50 a.m., at which point it is void. So again, there could be some intense dreams that kind of leave you with some intense feelings is what I want to say on Wednesday. The moon enters Libra, which draws our awareness towards wanting to connect, wanting to harmonize. I do want to highlight, you might be feeling more social, certainly, but we are in the waning crescent moon phase now as we're preparing for next week's new moon, which sometimes can make us feel called to hermit, to get rid of stuff, to come inward, to refresh our energy store. So just being gentle if that is transpiring for you. And Wednesday's energy sort of feels like this battle of sorts. The Libra moon wants to enjoy, it wants to find balance, but with Mercury in Capricorn, there can be this inner beating up of yourself. Like, it's so important with Mercury in Capricorn, try not to be so hard on yourself, okay? Like with this conflict, there could be this energy around beating yourself up. because you didn't get enough done that day, or things aren't perfect around the home, or you're even contemplating a social interaction, a coworker interaction, and you're beating yourself up around, oh, you were so awkward, you should have said this, you should have done this. Freeing yourself, if possible, from the bounds of perfectionism. You know, we don't talk about this enough, but Libra can also be an energy that is quite perfectionistic. It tends to come through more so around aesthetic means and things of that nature, but there is this energy around wanting everything to be perfect and dialed in, wanting everything to be harmonious. And with Mercury in Capricorn, with Mercury answering to a Saturn ruled sign, we can be a little bit more pessimistic. Reach for the Mercury trine Jupiter. Where are you learning at this moment? What is exciting you at this moment? So on Thursday, December 7th, it's a good day, y'all. It is a good day, and we deserve a good day. So firstly, the Sagittarius Sun trines Chiron in Aries. And this is that healing energy encapsulated within the vibe check when you're starting to realize, like, the spell's been lifted around, what was I doing these past 7 months when I was dating this person, when their, feet smelled like that and they talked to me like that, and there was this red flag and there was this red flag. Like, what was I doing? Like, now that I've dialed into my long-term priorities, that was not the person for me. It doesn't mean that I'm not having my feelings about it, but I'm healing as I'm getting closer to the person that I'm meant to be. Like, that's echoed within Thursday's Sagittarius Sun trine Chiron in Aries, where it's being honest with ourselves. Like I said, honesty can be something so important. And, we were talking about last week, other people can deceive you, but we can also deceive ourselves by staying in illusion, by avoiding what's in front of us, by not wanting to see. Because again, universe will try to give us guidance, and it'll give us guidance through whispers and sometimes through screams if we're not paying attention. So it's important to be honest with yourself and honest about your journey around where it is that you are growing and evolving. And I just feel like that's important to repeat to you. Just with these two signs, Sagittarius and Aries, they both deeply do value the truth. So being honest with others, certainly, but also being honest with yourself around where it is that you are growing and where it is that you're healing. So I'm not saying if you are going through like a major transition, feel your feelings, right? Allow yourself to feel within that. You can hold two things at once. You could be sad that something didn't work out while also aware that that is not the direction that your life is taking, right? And it is exciting to be able to look out at the world through this lens around what could be. That's also echoed within Mercury trine Jupiter around now that I'm not, having to pick them up and take them to all of their appointments and stuff. Now I have this time and space. And it's important to highlight, like, it's Sagittarius season, seeing your life as a quest. Because I think a lot of times when it comes to like navigating breakups or a job change, like, there is moments that it feels so good, you're on a high, you're just seeing all this opportunity everywhere. And then there are moments that you miss what your life used to look like, and you're craving that stability, and you're craving things that felt very stable. Even if it wasn't serving you, there can be an energy around missing that, right? Comfort. But it's important to view your life like a quest, in that you get to chisel this journey. You get to excavate your own path based on what's important to you. And so it's important to be honest with yourself about what is important to you, and don't let other people shame you for it. And we did this exercise with finances earlier in the week around getting clear around what is it that I value, right? And not letting other people tell you that it's a frivolous thing. Like, oh, why do you need, a $6 latte? It's like, hey, it's important to me. I'll cut back in other arenas. This is a little bit of joy within my day. It's my money. This is what I value. I'm going to spend it how I see fit, right? Well, building my future with the trine to Saturn. So just as we did that same thing, getting to the core around what it is that you want to spend money on, doing that with relationships as well is what I want to say with Venus and Scorpio around what are your deal breakers? And don't let other people tell you that your deal breakers are not that big a deal, or, oh, they'll change. Like, you need to establish those deal breakers, or what it is that you truly want within a connection, and essentially stand firm within that. Like, there can be certain arenas where it's like, okay, their feet stink, whatever, we'll make it work. But they're exhibiting this behavior that I've seen modeled to me because of my upbringing and my generational lineage, and I don't want to repeat that cycle. So why would I continue a relationship with someone who's going to repeat that cycle when that's something so fundamentally important to me? Again, honesty. And sometimes honesty can hurt our feelings. Sometimes it's easier to stay in the delulu, stay in the illusion around, oh, they'll change. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, it's just how they relieve stress or what have you. It's important to be honest. And so with Sun trine Chiron, it is that healing balm of honesty. And again, that can be honesty about what it is that you're moving through, what emotions that you are feeling at this time. But also with Sun trine Chiron, it's like bittersweet energy is what I'm tapping into, because it's like embracing the vulnerabilities of like what didn't work out, but also getting excited about what could be. It's like giving this very much like, aw, energy. I don't know why, that's what I'm hearing in my mind. Like, oh, it's like, that's sad, you know, that connection didn't work out, or that job didn't work out, or this business didn't work out, but I got a future waiting for me. So, you know, I'm going to reminisce because it's Mercury pre-retrograde shadow, but my future awaits, right? And that's important to remember on Thursday. And you can feel your feelings. It's not saying you already have to arrive at the end result where you're totally healed, but there's just this energy around, maybe I could heal. Maybe there is something ahead for me. And also on Thursday, we have Mercury in Capricorn trine Jupiter in Taurus. So there's two vibes of the upcoming Mercury retrograde. There's the very helpful vibe of Mercury in Capricorn trining Jupiter, sextiling Saturn, which is actually going to be very helpful in completing the incomplete, dialing in essentially your tasks and your responsibilities. And then it enters Sagittarius and it's a little bit more chaotic. But what I want to say is that with Mercury in Capricorn trining Jupiter, really optimal time to look at any project that was kind of half started within 2023 and contemplate ways that you want to streamline or finish it. Really optimal time to celebrate yourself. Like, genuinely be proud of yourself about something. Like, I know when it comes to the year end, sometimes there could be frustrations around, I wanted to do this and I didn't, or I had this goal that I wanted to reach and exceed and I didn't meet it. But it's important to cheerlead yourself and celebrate what it is that you did achieve. Maybe that's just I prioritized healing. Maybe that is just I established that boundary. Maybe it is just I got myself out of that comfort zone. I learned that new topic. Celebrate yourself for it. I know Mercury and Capricorn can be making you beat yourself up around the 2023 resolutions that you didn't reach, but allow yourself to tune into and genuinely celebrate the ones that you did. So I film in my office, and in my office, my whiteboard has all of my goals for the year ahead so that I see them and I'm reminded of it often. And I'm looking at it and I like low-key flopped. Like, if you were to look at my goals that I had for this year, I kind of didn't do a lot. I kind of didn't do a lot of them. Honestly, I kind of flopped. But the year wasn't a flop. I learned and I grew in many different ways. Like, I did reach, one of my goals was to reach 20K subscribers, and we're at 30K. So thank you guys. That's all thanks to you all. So I guess that one checked off. But the rest, girl, what did I do this year? Because I only hit, I hit 2 goals. There's 12. On there. So on one hand, you could consider me a flop, okay, because I did not reach all my goals. But on the other hand, I'm proud of myself because there are things that I'm proud of that aren't even written there. And again, it's not always just about milestones and money and success and the metrics of it all. It's also about the internal growth that had to take place for you to get to those results. It's also about the sort of essentially milestones that aren't necessarily quantifiable, right? Because I also have on the goals, I also have how I want to feel in the year ahead, and how I want it to feel was actualized, vibrant, and at peace. I was hoping that would be a moment where I was like, but I felt that way the entire year, but I didn't really feel like that either. I kind of flopped. At least I hit the subscriber one, okay? You gotta take your wins and celebrate your wins and spotlight your wins as they come up, okay? Maybe next year I'll have a more peaceful year. Maybe next year will be my peace era. So whatever your year was, maybe it was just you survived, you held a boundary, whatever it is, just take a moment to be like, I did that, okay? You gotta cheerlead yourself on the way to the top of the mountain, because with Mercury and Capricorn, it's all about how it is that we ascend to the best that we can be, and you're not gonna get there any quicker by hating yourself going up there. Like, I'm choosing gentleness with my goals because it's not gonna do me any good to bully myself to success next year, to like force myself to do all these things through this lens run. You gotta, what's one of them? Up-level your filming equipment. Or else, like, that's not a very loving landscape by which to build your ambitions. Like, the process of getting there is the quality of being there, is what I want to say with Mercury in Capricorn trine Jupiter in Taurus, where yes, it feels good to accomplish things. It feels good to reach goals. It feels good to feel actualized. It feels good to put out your best content and be the best version of yourself. That all feels good, but it's hollow if you are not actually enjoying the process of ascending, right? If you're bullying yourself up that mountain as you reach the top of your game or what have you. Like, you got to fall in love with the process because there will always be another mountain peak that you could potentially climb. So if you are not enjoying the process of becoming your best self, of reaching or not so much reaching your goals. You won't enjoy being at the top as well. It's all about the process. So how you could be feeling this within your life is absolutely looking towards the future with essentially optimism. You could be having conversations that are expansive and exciting. You could be talking about with someone else what it is that you guys are proud of. Like, there is a conclusion energy to this week. Like, I know it's not the official end of the year. There's like a conclusion energy to this week's astrology. Again, not in a scary way, but it's the last waning crescent moon phase that we have within 2023. So from an astrological standpoint, this is a really optimal week to essentially reminisce, to celebrate yourself, to honor what has transpired within this year, whether you hit all of your whiteboard goals or whether you're like me and you hit a couple and you tried at a few. That's okay too. We have to cheerlead ourselves as we go, right? It would be boring if we hit all the goals on our list because we wouldn't be challenging ourselves, right? So there's a conclusion energy. So definitely a great week to honor that and just have expansive conversations. Notice what it is that you're feeling optimistic. I'll be forthright. It's an earth energy. It's not necessarily this very like zealous, giddy energy necessarily, but it's grounded, it's productive, it's efficient, and it's celebratory. And so on Thursday, the Libra moon is kind of hyped up by Sagittarius, Sun, and Mars, particularly in the morning. So you might be feeling more energized. Would be a great day to kind of like start with a workout or something of that nature. The Libra moon does oppose Chiron. So again, it's that reminder I was sharing around when it comes to any new shift within your life, there oftentimes is that pink cloud energy. Whether it's a new move, there's like this very hyper energy around what could happen here and I'm so excited. And then 2 weeks later, there could be a moment where you're like alone in your new place and you're feeling really lonely and you want to order takeout, but you don't know all the new places. Or when you're navigating a breakup, there could be moments where you're like, yes, I'm so excited, my new life begins. And then there's moments when you're like, oh, I just want someone to cuddle with. And within sobriety as well, there's moments where it's like, I'm so sober, I've got my network, and there's moments that you are feeling more tempted. Like, it's important to understand this life has shades of ups and downs, and the highs don't last forever, but the lows don't either. So how this could be coming to the surface within your world is just little pangs around loneliness, perhaps, or around not feeling, good enough. But again, that kind of like, ouch, with Sun then trining Chiron, like that wound is letting the light in, to quote Rumi, right? Like observing what within you is kind of being essentially activated and allowing yourself to pour love into that energy around, it makes sense I'm feeling lonely, I'm going through a breakup. It makes sense that I'm feeling sad, I'm going through grief. Like allowing yourself the permission to be honest with what is hurting within you, as well as to alchemize it. Whenever we talk about Chiron energy, like that pain can be transmuted into an ability to heal yourself or even heal others via, art. I'm going to a comedy show that night, so via comedy. Like I really find that a lot of comedians are individuals who have really had to learn how to manufacture joy and laughter. And that's why they're so funny, is because they've had to create that energy because they did not feel it within their world because they have gone through it. Again, just one manifestation of Chiron energy, but just something I want to share. On Friday, December 8th. So firstly, I want to say some of us could be feeling that Mercury trine Pluto energy still in the air. And again, this is efficient, productive, going slow, as Mercury stations retrograde next week, but definitely dialed into the details, wanting to make things the best that they can be, wanting to refine and dial in. And there could just be this unexplainable sense of anxiety that exists within you, or just like intensity or intense emotions. For some of you, I'm feeling with Libra moon squaring Pluto in the afternoon, there could be certain people within your workplace whose emotions you are personally taking on, that it's your job to regulate or to make sure they're in a good place or like they're balanced, and feeling like you can't be in a good mood until those around you are in a good mood. I just want to say that's not your responsibility. Okay, come back. Come back to center. So this could be an energy around being plugged into coworkers or clients and just wanting to kind of like keep the peace and make sure everything's all good. There can just be certain, whether it's like deadlines or boss themes, also wanting to harmonize, keep the peace with bosses and feeling nervous about it. There could just be a little bit of an uneasy energy baked into Friday's astrology, but I want you to reach for Mercury trine Jupiter around feeling how good it feels to get things done, to celebrate yourself, to yes, do the task, but do so in a way day that's conducive for growth, which is celebratory and expansive and not harsh, right? And so try to get your work done before 5:05 p.m. as that is when the moon is void. Closing aspect is that Libra moon square Pluto in Capricorn. And what I want to say with this is that there can be certain feelings of indecision baked into your Friday night. And if someone's asking you what you want for dinner or what movie you want to watch or things of that nature, I just want to say there's no wrong answer. If you get nervous to voice what it is that you want, you just want the other person to be happy, whatever you pick because you're uncomfortable voicing what it is that you want. I just feel something about that on Friday around, I really want this appetizer, but I don't want to intrude on what the other person thinks. Like there just feels to be this intensity baked into very minor choices and decisions. So I just want to say, take the pressure off. Like it's not, a life or death question. If you want super salad for appetizer, you don't need to check with the other person and make sure that they're comfortable and dialed in. Like remember to prioritize yourself, your comfort as well. And the moon will be void until it enters Scorpio at 7:35 p.m., which again can plunge our emotions into a more intense place. Now we have Venus not so happy in her detriment, and the moon doesn't particularly like being in Scorpio either, as the moon is in her fall in the sign Scorpio. So sometimes extreme emotions can be coming up. Luckily, on Friday, we do have the trine to Saturn. So that's why I'm saying there could be like intense emotions, but there's this logical pull around being able to kind of like talk yourself down after getting emotional. Okay, it doesn't make sense. I don't need to be upset about this. They're just asking me if I want lasagna or pasta. I don't need to take it so personally, making sure that everybody around me is happy and having fun and has everything that they need. However that shows up for you, again, release the specifics. I just see there could be something that kind of plunges your emotions to an intense place, but I equally see there's this ability to kind of like ground yourself down amidst it, whether it's doing something that helps you kind of flow with the emotions that are coming up, or even just allowing yourself to break it down very logically. There's something that you can reach for on Friday night. So on Saturday, December 9th, firstly, I want to say I would avoid shopping on the 9th. And I know we're getting close to holidays. Happy Hanukkah, by the way. I'm pretty sure that starts this week. Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate. But if you were planning on shopping on Saturday, here's why I would be a little mindful before you do. So even though Venus in Scorpio has her gifts, okay, she's not particularly happy in her placement. Added to that, now she's receiving an opposition to Jupiter. Harsh aspects to Jupiter expand and can lead to excess. So this is sort of energy where you just meant to go to the mall to get two things and you spent $600 and you're like, how did this happen? It can make us spend more than we intended to, consume more than we intended to. So that's what I'm saying. Tuesday with Venus trine Saturn, have a game plan, have a budget or do it online, have a plan around how much you want to spend every single day, research the sales, like have a plan. Do not just show up to the mall on Saturday with vibes and iced coffee hoping to figure it out, because you'll figure it out. You'll buy a lot of stuff, but like A, is that what you wanted? And B, was that in the budget? Harsh aspects between the benefics, there is no budget. We're in the mood to enjoy life, which again, Saturday could be a vibe because of that, but I would just say definitely be shrewd with your finances this week. From a love perspective with Venus opposite Jupiter, it can be a little bit of that energy of love bombing, but not in a manipulative way. Like I said about Scorpio energy, when they're about someone, they're so about someone, right? And with the opposite of Jupiter, we are just wanting to lose ourselves within this love, within this devotion, right? And so this can be an energy around, do you want to get married? Do you want to go abroad? Should we change our name? Should we change our identity? Sort of vibe. Again, it would be a great day to just enjoy life with your partner, enjoy food, enjoy beauty, enjoy, intimacy. I would definitely say, especially with the lunar aspects, it's just a day to be tuned into the sweetness and the beauty around you, but just be cautious around going excess or overboard. So the moon and Venus at around 6 a.m., they meet up in Scorpio. They're both being cast out from their dignity in territory they don't like, but at least they have each other, right? So there is sweetness, there is enjoyment, there is intimacy. It would be a great morning for breakfast in bed or going somewhere beautiful or playing some beautiful music or something of that nature. Granted, you could be eating breakfast in bed together while talking about the occult. You could be playing music that have lyrics about existentialism. Again, you're gonna feel those Scorpio shades into the experience, but it's still sweet. It's still promoting intimacy and enjoyment. And the Scorpio moon also trines Mercury in Capricorn. So again, big week for honesty, being honest around how it is that you feel. It's not always pretty, it's not always nice. Again, that lake from the surface, it looks so idyllic, it looks so beautiful. There's more beneath the surface, and it just feels like this is an important week to be willing to go beneath the surface, whether it's within yourself, whether it's within your connection. It's nothing scary. This is honestly a pretty good week of astrology. I just see that there's a lot of clarity that can be received if you're willing to go deep within yourself, within your connections. You know, Sunday, December 10th might have some ups and downs, but it's the sort of ups and downs that work out in the end. I think that's so important to remind yourself that things really do work out in the end. And it can be hard, especially when things feel turbulent or chaotic or like up and down, where it's like yesterday I felt good about my breakup and all empowered, and today I'm waking up and I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should go back to them. I don't know if I should move abroad. Like there could just be these feelings within you around just feeling a little bit chaotic. So firstly, what I want to say is that we're leading to this new moon. So a lot of times emotions, random emotions can surface for the purpose we're closing out a cycle. And when we consider this last waning crescent moon of the year, we're closing out a year, right? So allowing the emotions, even if they're unexpected or erratic, to surface. You could just be wanting to get that out of your system. And if you're craving like a lot of change, that can just be giving you data around where you want your new moon intentions to be centered around, right? And if you've ever had a day where you are trying to do something and it doesn't work out, so you have to shift plans and something so much more magical falls into place, that's what Sunday's astrology feels like, where things might not go according to plan, but it goes according to God's plan, which is going to be better. It goes in accordance to divine plan. And with Sunday, like really pay attention to where it is that you're experiencing flow, where it is that you're feeling connected to something bigger is a part with Scorpio moon trine Neptune. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I get clear on what I really want. And again, next week is the energy where we are planting the seeds around calling that in, right? This week, it's more so around getting clear on what it is that you want, by getting clear on what it is that you don't want. Every contrast that you experience brings clarity. That contrast around, oh, I dated that person and that did not work out, that gives you clarity around what person will. Every job that you experience where you're like, oh, that was not a fit for me, gives you clarity on jobs that will be in more alignment. If you move cities and it's not for you, that gives you clarity. Really embracing that sometimes we have to live different lives. You know, Venus is in Scorpio. Sometimes we have to live different lives in order to figure out if something is for us and if something is not. Free yourself from feeling like everything needs to be linear and just within one path. We have to try different things to figure out if it is for us. That's how we get clear on what it is that we really want, by figuring out what it is that we do not want. Be gentle with yourself. If you've made mistakes, if things have not gone according to plan, take it as data. Take it as simply painting the picture around what it is that you want. The more that you live life deeply and with intention, really contemplating what it is that you want, the more you create a life outside of your wildest dreams. If you don't figure out what it is that you want, you'll have a life full of things that you didn't want. Like, not taking action is an action within itself. I'm not saying everyone needs to take action to change their life this week. I'm just saying this is an important week for clarity around choosing to get real and honest with yourself around where are things serving me currently and where are they not? And how can I love myself to build a life around what will absolutely serve me, what will divinely serve me, what will radiantly serve me, right? And that's why I find, especially with Scorpio placements, Scorpio is on the brain with Venus entering Scorpio, a lot of times they do have different reinventions. And it's like every single pivot, you can view that as like chaotic or like things are up and down, but it's like every single life that they create, every single time that they rise from their ashes, you know, as the phoenix of the zodiac, every single time they're a bit more embodied, they're a bit more powerful, they're a bit more sure of what it is that they want. You can view it as, oh, that's chaotic, you were doing this and then you pivoted to this, but you learned from every single iteration of those journeys. You took the data and you allowed it to clarify what it is that you truly want out of this experience. It's just getting clear around what sort of lifestyle do I want to live? What do I really value within this world? What sort of ambitions are important to me within the year ahead? What did I accomplish this year that does feel like a success to me? Like, what am I proud of within myself? Those are just some questions to contemplate as we wrap up the week. So if you made it to the end of the video, let me know by dropping the shopping bag emoji beneath, or write the word shopping within a sentence to let me know that you made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I appreciate you. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay